Let me know if you can hear me. Hello, hello. Let me know if you can hear me. Alright, we're gonna give it maybe 2 more minutes just to let people jump in, and then we'll get started. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy to go at this point. Happy Friday night, everybody. Welcome to your definitely not delayed League Honors show for season 53. I am Infinite MPG. I do a lot around here. I think that's probably enough to describe my job. I do a lot of the event stuff around here. I have a little bit of allergies at the moment, so if I sound a little bit weird, that's why. Oh, this is where we're hanging out. Okay. Luna is fine. She basically was able to get everything out, as far as we can tell. It took a lot of effort to get all of it out, but it seems like the corn cob will not be an issue anymore. We were worried that there'd be an obstruction, but thankfully her digestive system did its job. So Luna is okay. Apologies for this taking much longer to come out than it should have. Originally, this was just going to get streamed at like 10 o'clock, and then, of course, Luna did her thing, and we had that whole experience. But we're here, and we are here to honor all of our wonderful members of the league and their incredible performances throughout S53, and we are going to start in the DSFL. So let's get this keynote going. All right, we're going to start off with our All-Pro team. So for the DSFL, our All-Pro team consists of a first team only. There is no second team in the DSFL. There's just a first team. So at quarterback, we have Thorfinn Vinland from Bondi Beach. At running back, we got Banhammer from Tijuana. Also at running back, we've got Chucky McDavid from Kansas City. Out wide, we've got Shakir Hodges-Allen and Multiliki Waialiki. I'm going to pretend that that's correct. Also out wide, we have Ezra Torrent from the Grey Ducks. At tight end, we've got Wesley Orion from London. At tight end, we also have Bug Jones from Bondi Beach. And then we only have 2 offensive linemen this year. On the interior, we've got Wallace Big, and at tackle, we've got Jerry Attrick, both for the Royals. Moving on to the defense, we've got Rick Diggersby from Bondi Beach. We've got Big Man Blastoise from London, Cameron Fryer from Dallas, and Grant Lindstrom from Tijuana on the defensive line. At the edge, outside linebacker, we've got Riyama DiUgo from Kansas City, and Tyron Brackenridge from Portland. Tyron Brackenridge III. I remember the first Tyron Brackenridge and the second. Was there a second? Yeah, there was definitely a second. There was a junior, I'm pretty sure. All right, inside linebacker, Max Ryder Colt from Dallas. Out on the outside at corner, El Money Piccarelli at corner from Minnesota, and Dwayne Swanson from Kansas City. Out deep, at safety are Garcia Bear and Spice Gardner. And finally, our specialists, we can't forget the specialists. From Bondi Beach, our kicker is Dawson Jackson. And from Portland, our punter is Adam Vittori. And our return specialist is DeAndre Reeler from Tijuana. That is your first team, all-pro team for the DSFL S53. All right, moving on to our honors, our awards. We are going to start with Offensive Performance of the Year. I don't remember if this was a change that we made this year or the previous year. I think it was the previous year where it got split between offensive and defensive again in the DSFL. This was a change that happened in the ISFL a little bit earlier. DSFL following suit afterwards. So, Offensive Performance of the Year, we've got Mo Love in Week 8 from Kansas City. 8 catches, 184 yards, 2 touchdowns. Adalyn Surison, Week 13 for London, 24 carries, 170 yards with 1 touchdown, as well as 2 catches for 55. We've got Forcing to Osaka in Week 7 for Tijuana, 37 of 56 through the air for 469 yards, 5 tutties, and a 121.8 QBR. Joshua Hunchak, Week 2 for Dallas, 19 of 31, 330 yards, but 6 touchdowns and a 137.1 rating. Multiliki Waialiki for Week 9 for Bondi Beach, 8 catches for 165 and 4 touchdowns. And then finishing it out, Shakir Hodges-Allen, Week 10 for Minnesota, 6 catches, 198 yards, for 3 touchdowns. Okay, if there's one thing that I know about awards voters, it's that they love their touchdowns. So let's see who our winner is for Offensive Performance of the Year. It is Multiliki Waialiki in Week 9. Congratulations. I'm not actually sure who the user behind this player is. Been out of touch for a while. But congratulations to the Buccaneers and to Waialiki for the award. All right, Defensive Performance of the Year. Bamba Jamin, Week 8 for Kansas City, 12 tackles, 3 sacks, 1 fumble recovery. El Money Picarelli in Week 10 for Minnesota, 4 tackles, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery, 7 passes defensed, 2 picks, and a defensive touchdown. Garcia Bear in Week 5 for Minnesota, 6 tackles, 2 passes defensed, 2 picks, and 1 defensive touchdown. GM Milat, Week 12 for Bondi Beach, 13 tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. Kevin Kirkpatrick in Week 7 for Norfolk, 9 tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 pass defensed. And finally, Tyron Brackenridge III, Week 1 for Portland, 7 tackles, 2 sacks, forced fumble and a fumble recovery, and 1 pass defensed. And our winner for Defensive Performance of the Year is El Money Picarelli in Week 10. 2 picks and a touchdown, that's hard to pass up. Congratulations to Picarelli and the Grey Ducks. All right, Offensive Rookie of the Year. So this is an award for S54 class players. So this is their first season overall in the DSFL and in general. Some of these are recreates, some of these are straight up new users. But this is their first season as a member of the DSFL. So we've got Multiliki Waialiki from Bondi Beach, 100 receptions for 1,800 yards and 15 receiving touchdowns, as well as returning, but we're a little less concerned about that right now. We got Noah Yu from London, 400 completions for 64% completion rate, for over 4,400 yards, 28 pass touchdowns, and a 91.7 rating for the season. We've got Vidal Valor from Kansas City, 223 carries for 966 yards and 12 rushing touchdowns. We've got Forcing to Osaka for Tijuana, 326 completions for a 57.1% completion rate, almost 3,800 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, for a 77.9 rating on the year. Faramir Took from Bondi Beach, 96 catches for nearly 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns. And finally, Lainda Trenches for Bondi Beach, 146 carries, 756 yards, and 12 touchdowns, as well as 26 catches for 224 through the air and 1 receiving touchdown. Our Offensive Rookie of the Year is going to be Multiliki Waialiki from Bondi Beach. Another award for Multiliki Waialiki. Congratulations. Defensive Rookie of the Year. We've got some familiar names on this side as well from the previous one. But we will start with Rick Diggersby from the Bucks. 46 tackles, 8 TFLs, 8 sacks. Ms. Frizzle for the Grey Ducks, 89 tackles, forced fumble, fumble recovery, 6 picks, 27 passes defensed, and 2 defensive touchdowns. El Money Picarelli for the Ducks as well, 74 tackles, 5 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 5 picks, 26 passes defensed, and 3 touchdowns. Vlad the Inhaler for the Seawolves, 83 tackles, 12 TFLs, 2 forced fumbles, 11 sacks, and a safety. Ooh, a safety. Don't see those often. For Portland, Brian Jones, 96 tackles, 7 TFLs, 3 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries, 9 sacks, 1 pick, 3 passes defensed. And finally, wrapping it up is Pisley Husk for Tijuana, 88 tackles, 3 fumble recoveries, 5 picks, and 31 passes defensed, as well as 1 defensive touchdown. And our winner for Defensive Rookie of the Year is Elmony Picarelli. So that's 2 for Picarelli, 2 for Wailiki. It's been only these 2 so far. Congratulations. All right, Special Teams Player of the Year. So I think this is the second season that this is... No, Special Teams Player of the Year has been this way for a while. So in the DSFL, they did not split kicker, punter, and returner. So all the special teamers get thrown into the same bin here. So we're going to have kickers, we're going to have punters, we're going to have returners. Starting off, Dawson Jackson, our first team All-Pro kicker. 97.1% extra points, 90% field goals, 2 of 2 from 50 plus, 5 of 6 between 40 and 49 is a pretty good clip. 47 punts for an average of 46.3 yards, as well as 20 within the 20-yard line. Adam Vittori, our first team All-Pro punter, 93.8% from extra points, 81.8% for field goals, 7 of 8 between 40 and 49, as well as 104 punts. That's a lot of punts, my God. 104 punts, averaging 47 yards per punt and 42 pins inside the 20. We're going to jump over to Athena McKenzie really quickly because she's another kicker. 100% extra points, only 66.7% from field goals, 8 of 13 from 40 to 49, so not for a lack of trying. 75 punts, 3,333 yards, very satisfying. Ooh, also very satisfying, 44.4 yards per punt on average. And 27 of those punts were pinned inside the 20. We're going to jump back to DeAndre Reeler from Tijuana. 37 kick returns for 888 yards for an average of 24 yards per kick return. And then 25 punt returns averaging 11.3 yards per return there. Multiliki Wailiki again. 39 kick returns for 804 yards, averaging 20.6 yards per return. And then 28 punt returns, averaging 10 yards per return and 1 punt return touchdown. And finally, Shakir Hodges-Allen, 24 kick returns, averaging 19 yards per return, and 27 punt returns, averaging 9.2 yards per return. I think our winner is going to be a repeat again, but let's see. Oh, it is not. It is Adam Vittori. Congratulations, Adam Vittori, Special Teams Player of the Year. We love our punters. Punters are people too, guys. All right. Moving right along to Offensive Player of the Year. So this is all DSFL players are eligible for this. Doesn't matter if you are in your first year, your second year, third year. I think 3 years is the max you get. But these are the best offensive players in the DSFL. You're going to see lots of mainstays here, but also some new faces. Thorfinn Vinland, I don't believe we've brought him up yet. 353 completions, 64.4% clip for almost 4,600 pass yards, 34 touchdowns, 103.6 passer rating on the year. That is impressive right there. We've already talked about Multiliki Wailiki, but he's got the 100 catches and 15 touchdowns. Chucky McDavid from the Coyotes, I don't believe we've brought up. 199 carries for 892 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns, as well as 28 catches for 422 and 2 receiving touchdowns. Shakir Hodges-Allen, we haven't brought up his year-long stats yet. 82 catches for 1633, 13 receiving touchdowns. Banhammer from Tijuana, 308 carries, my goodness, for 1,400 yards, 9 touchdowns on the ground, as well as 15 catches and 94 receiving yards there. And then finally, Geriatric, our offensive lineman on this list. Not that offensive lineman is required, but this is an offensive lineman on the list. 73 pancakes, 3 sacks allowed. And our Offensive Player of the Year is Thorfinn Vinland. quarterback for Bondi Beach. It's hard to pass up that 103.6 rating. My goodness. Congratulations to the Bucks. Congratulations to Vinland. All right. Defensive Player of the Year. We've got Rick Diggersby. Did we talk about him yet? I don't think so. No, we did. We did talk about Rick Diggersby. New create. Or at least rookie in the DSFL. I don't know the users at this point, honestly. Rick Diggersby, we've talked about. Tyron Brackenridge III, we have not. 125 tackles, 20 TFLs, 3 forced fumbles, 9 sacks, and a pick. GM Malott for Bondi Beach. Been here a long time at this point. 102 tackles, 3 TFLs, 4 forced fumbles, 12 sacks, 4 picks, and a defensive touchdown. Miss Frizzle Garcia, or Miss Frizzle we brought up. El Money Picarelli we have also brought up. Both very impressive stat lines there as well. But Garcia Bear we have not brought up yet for the Grey Ducks. The last 3 on here are all Grey Ducks. 61 tackles for Garcia Bear. 4 forced fumbles, 3 sacks, 7 picks, 2 defensive touchdowns. So, our Defensive Player of the Year is El Money Picarelli. Taking the Defensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. Double crown there for the Grey Duck. All right. So, that's our Defensive Player of the Year. We've got our Offensive Player of the Year. One thing that I have neglected to mention is that our winners for Offensive Player of the Year, Thorfinn Vinland, and our Defensive Player of the Year, El Money Picarelli, both cannot win our MVP. Okay, so we will talk about that when we get to MVP. But the MVP voting goes first, and the MVP is removed from voting for Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year. So we will get to that in a little bit. But our General Managers of the Year, we've got 5 nominees here. We've got Bondi Beach's GMs, Roy Rivers and Severin. GM of the Year of the DSFL, not really about record, mostly about development of users and players to make sure that they are going to be great members of the league, well-earning, and generally good people to be around. But I do have their records listed here. So, Bondi Beach won 11-3. They won the South. Jay Reed and Deadly Player for Dallas. They only went 3-11, number 4 in the South. But again, remember, it's not about the wins in the DSFL. For Kansas City, Dev Zero and Irish, 13-1. They won the North. Jay Lyles and OK Nam for Minnesota, 10-4, number 2 in the North. And the Sparky D and Tubadeus for Portland, 5-9, number 3 in the North. Those are our 5 nominees for GM of the Year. And our winner is Jay Lyles and OK Nam from Minnesota. Lots of Grey Ducks on the awards lists. But well earned. Okay, most dedicated member. So I polled the DSFL GMs. I asked them about these 2 users. Both of these users are incredibly active members of the community. We've got Cowboy Blender. We've got Zag. I do not know them personally. I don't really hang out in DSFL general chat, but from what I have been told from these DSFL GMs, Zag is extremely active in DSFL gen chat. Just a great person to be around, somebody who always brings the conversation for everyone to participate. And Cowboy Blender is a podcaster and media mogul, and I've seen these. They've created 3D videos for the league, which have been very impressive. There were several other nominees for most dedicated member in the DSFL. Unfortunately, they all only received 1 nomination, and so they did not make it to the runoff voting. But these 2 did. These 2 got several nominations each, and both well-deserved. But only 1 can win MDM, and that user is Cowboy Blender. Congratulations to Cowboy Blender. I hope you don't turn out to be a multi. I hope you become a great member of this community. All right, MVP. we gotta talk MVP. So, like I said previously, Thorfinn Vinland cannot win this. Elmeni Picarelli cannot win this. We know that because they won Player of the Year, which means that they definitely did not win the MVP. But in the DSFL, all members... I'm just realizing now that it says ISFL in the corner, and it definitely should say DSFL. Oh well. Anyways, MVP, all nominees for Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year are automatically put on the MVP nomination list. And so, you know, we've seen all these names, all very deserving of being MVP. But our MVP for S53 in the DSFL is Motiliki Waialiki, also getting that double crown. Congratulations to Waialiki and the Buccaneers on the MVP. Very impressive season from Waialiki. All right, and I believe that wraps up the DSFL. Only you can see the DSFL in the bottom right here, but not in the bottom right here. How interesting. Oh, it's only that one too. Oh, that's so great to see. Okay, we'll figure that out another time. I ain't got time for that. All right, that wraps it up for the DSFL. Congratulations to all of our winners down there. I know many of you have just been drafted as of last week. So congratulations on your new homes in the ISFL. And perhaps next year you will be on one of these lists. All right. All-Pro team for the ISFL. We've got two teams. We've got a first team and a second team. The second team, All-Pro, we've got listed right here. At quarterback, we've got the Baltimore QB No Picks. Got running back William Eaton from the Copperheads and Robot Sunfish from the Hahalua. We've got at fullback Billy Van Gogh from the Wraiths. At tight end, we've got Jeff Landshark for the Hawks. We've got three wideouts, Harvin Marison from the Outlaws, Fig Newton from the Otters, and Thomas Passarelli for the second line. On the offensive line at tackle, we've got Octavio Valeris and Edith Nickelback. And on the interior, we've got Laken Macon, assuming, and Maximus Bordeaux for the Wraiths. I don't know why there's a defensive tackle on this list, but there's a defensive tackle on this list, and we're going to figure that out later. But at defensive tackle, we've got Draven Chanos from the Silverbacks, and at punter, we've got Blow Cage. I think I know where the problem is. All right. Anyways, who cares? All right. Defensive tackle as well. We've got Dunkler Sowerwine from the Crash. At defensive end, we've got Joey Battle from the Kaiju and Rex Havoc from the Hahalua. On the outside, we've got Duilio's Beard and Bulldozer from the Sabercats and the Wraiths. On the interior line, or inside linebacker, excuse me, we've got Bean Beanman IV from Baltimore. At corner, we've got Prime Sanders from the Outlaws and Roquefort Cotswold from Hahalua. Oh, Jesus. Honolulu Hahalua. Say that 12 times fast. At safety, we've got Tony Scaletta and Eric B. Jr. Our D flex, which is probably supposed to be fixed, but I don't feel like fixing that right now. We've got Zero Escape from the Kaiju. At kicker, we've got Ray Baker. And at returner, we've got Zigzag Zipstep. So that's our second team, All-Pro team at the ISFL. Now for our first team. We've got Puddles O'Duck from the Outlaws. Got Mako Mendonca Jr. at fullback from the Copperheads. Pretty Mediocre at running back for the Outlaws. And Zigzag Zipstep is our other running back for the Sailfish. At wideout, we've got Jordan Bamford, Supersonic, Alexander Rockstone, and Bob Kronkowski. Two Wraiths, an Outlaw, and a Yeti. Walk into a bar. On the offensive line, at tackle, we've got Gustav Farkas and Leonardo Da Vinci at tackle. And then Biggie Fast and Tyler Higbee on the interior line. Seeing some fun arguments in the Discord, as usual, award season. Yay! Defense on the line at tackle. We've got Doctor Who from the second line and Sewage Joe Fantringham, from the Outlaws. At defensive end, we've got Ranch Pizza Pizzaman and Upsetty Spaghetti. And at outside linebacker, we've got Mac Mannheim and Gregors Winnicke. On the interior line, we've got Alexander Hortle Jr. from the Sailfish. At corner, we've got Kim Yon-sok and Drake Wayne. And at safety, we've got Rocket Ride and Paul Edgecombe. And finally, our defensive flex is Cletus Beauregard from the Black Forest Brood. I think that's the first Black Forest player we've got on this list so far, right? Did I see any other Black Forest? I don't think so. All right, that's our first Black Forest player. That's pretty cool. All right. Finally, our specialists at kicker, Marshall von Hildebrand from Sarasota, and Space Dino from the Wraiths are our kicker and punter, and our returner making a second appearance on this first team is pretty mediocre. All right, offensive performance of the year. So let me just pull up my stats here if I can find them. Offensive performance of the year. We've got Puddles O'Duck in week 4. 32 of 40 for 403 yards, 5 touchdowns, and a 148.2 rating. Robot Sunfish in week 4. 24 carries, 109 yards, 4 touchdowns on the ground. 6 catches for 52 yards. Connor Craig Jr. for the Crash. 22 carries for 221, 3 rushing touchdowns, as well as 3 catches for 21 there. Hercules Henry in the same game. Oh my goodness. 17 carries, 240 rushing yards for 2 touchdowns. So what does that make that? Almost 461 yards on the ground and 5 touchdowns? Dear Lord. All right, pretty mediocre week 2. 9 carries for 204 yards. Dear Lord, 2 touchdowns. I can only assume that those were 2 long touchdowns. As well as 3 catches for 35. And finally, Zach Vega Jr. in week 4 for the Otters. 25 of 40 for 443 yards in the air, 5 touchdowns, and a 129.5 rating. Offensive performance of the year will go to Puddles O'Duck in week 4. 403 yards, 5 touchdowns, 148.2 rating. That's hard to pass up. It's a very good performance. All right, defensive performance of the year. We've got Rocket Ride week 1 for the Copperheads. 6 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries, as well as a pick and a defensive touchdown. Got Roquefort Cotswold, 8 tackles, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery, a pick and a defensive touchdown. Bulldozer for the Wraiths, 11 tackles, 4 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. Gregors Winnicke in week 12, 11 tackles, 3 TFLs, 2 sacks, forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. Maurice Gunner in week 5, 4 tackles, forced fumble, fumble recovery, a pick, and a TD. Are we noticing a pattern here? And then finally, Duilio's Beard in week 1 for the Sabercats. 15 tackles, 5 TFLs, a sack, and a forced fumble. Our winner for defensive performance of the year is Rocket Ride in week 1. 2 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries. Not something to sneeze at. And they got the touchdown that all the awards voters love. So, congratulations to the Copperheads and Rocket Ride on the award. Offensive Rookie of the Year. So this is not necessarily class of S53. We've got some send-downs on here as well. Whether that's fair or not, complain to your local head office member. I don't really care. But these are first year in the ISFL players. At quarterback for the Copperheads, we've got Jack Crackerjack. 300... Oh my goodness, is this Cortez's third QB? Is he crazy enough to make a third quarterback? No way. Okay, Jack Crackerjack. 325 for 58.9% through the air. 3,500 yards. 15 touchdowns, 10 picks, 79.5 rating. Rocket Toss for Osaka, 39 catches for 411 and 1 receiving touchdown, as well as 54 pancakes. Federico Cinco for Honolulu, 108 rushes for 507 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, 43 catches for 298 through the air, as well as 51 pancakes. Football Catcherman for Osaka, 75 catches, 743 yards, 4 receiving touchdowns. Pasta Rockman for San Jose, 421 completions for a 65% completion rate, 4,163 passing yards, 25 touchdowns for an 85.6 passer rating. And finally, Justin Fern, 77 pancakes, only 1 sack allowed. Is this really only his second quarterback? I thought he made a different one before this one. Okay. Well, I'm glad nobody's crazy enough to do a third quarterback. Who would ever do that? Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Pasta Rockman for San Jose. Very impressive performance as a rookie. 85.6 rating is very high for a rookie. So congratulations to the Sabercats. All right, Defensive Rookie of the Year. We've got from the Wraiths, guess who? 99 tackles, 2 TFLs, and 3 passes defensed. We have Matt Turk from the Copperheads, 65 tackles, 7 sacks, 2 safeties. Oh my gosh, 2 safeties. From Osaka, 0 escape, 48 tackles, 4 picks, 9 passes defensed, and a touchdown. Also from Osaka, whoops. Well, I guess we know it's 0 escape now. But I do want to go through the other 3. Also from Osaka, we've got Super Nintendo Chalmers, 60 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 12 passes defensed, and 4 sacks. Braxton East from Yellowknife, 31 tackles, 9 TFLs, 7 sacks. And Dixon Yamada, 30 tackles, a fumble recovery, 2 sacks, a pick, and a touchdown. But yes, the winner of Defensive Rookie of the Year is 0 escape from Osaka. Congratulations to the Kaiju. Alright, Returner of the Year. So this is what I alluded to earlier when I was mentioning in the DSFL. Returner of the Year is not separate from Kicker Punter in the DSFL. Over here, they are separate. So, we're going to start with Pretty Mediocre from the Outlaws. 21 returns, averaging 32.9 yards a return, as well as 1 touchdown, as well as 28 punt returns, averaging 8.3 there. Zigzag Zip Step for Sarasota, 25 returns, averaging 27.2, as well as 22 punt returns, averaging 15.8. Mio Sticky Hands McGee from the Brood, 23 kick returns for 645 yards, averaging 28 yards per return, 1 kick return touchdown. Maria Teresa de la Rosa for Baltimore, 15 returns, averaging 28.9 there, as well as 1 kick return touchdown. And then 14 punt returns, averaging 6.3 there. Reginald Hammerfall from the Silverbacks, 13 returns, kick returns, averaging 29.8 there. No punt returns. None. Okay. And finally, Julian Rose, 19 kick returns, 27.7 average, and 28 punt returns, averaging 7.7 there. And Julian Rose did have a kick return touchdown. Whose birthday is it? Whose birthday is it? Happy birthday, Tyler Higbee. I see a little cake next to your name. That's awesome. Anyways, our winner for Returner of the Year is Pretty Mediocre. Probably not the last time we'll see that face. Last time I hosted an award, I saw that face all the time. Alright, Kicker Punter of the Year. Got 5 nominees here. We got Ray Baker from the Hahalua, recently retired. Perfect from extra points, 90.3% field goal rate, 3 of 3 from 50, 79 punts, averaging 47 yards per punt, 31 pins inside the 20. Space Dino, I believe, retired? Maybe not yet. Perfect from extra points as well, 86.7% from field goals, 4 of 6 from 50 plus. 59 punts, averaging 49 yards per punt and 34 pins inside the 20. Blow Cage from Baltimore, 96.7% extra points, 85.7% from field goals, 2 of 5 from 50 plus, as well as 73 punts, averaging 48.5 yards and 34 pins inside the 20. Marshall von Hinderbrand, which I believe was our first team All-Pro kicker, perfect from extra points, 91.4% field goal percent, 3 of 4 from 50 plus, as well as 76 punts, averaging 47.4 and 31 pins. And finally, Jack Sloth, 95.3% from extra points, 77.4% from field goals, but 81 punts, averaging very impressive 49.9 average yards per punt, 32 pins inside the 20. And our winner for Kicker Punter of the Year is Marshall von Hildebrand. Congratulations to our first team All-Pro kicker, and now our Kicker Punter of the Year. All right, Offensive Player of the Year. Okay, Offensive Player of the Year. Again, remember the rules here apply as well. Whoever wins Offensive Player of the Year will not win the MVP, so it is a mild spoiler, but we've still got 6 very talented players here. And also notably, MVP list is different from Player of the Year list for ISFL. So, we're going to start off with a very good boy, Fig Newton. 98 catches for 1467 through the air, 9 receiving touchdowns. Golden Erickson for the SaberCats, 135 catches for 1553 and 11 receiving touchdowns. Pretty mediocre. We've talked about his stats, I believe. Have we? No, I don't think we have. 231 carries for 1,200 yards, 17 rushing touchdowns, 62 catches for 736 yards through the air, 5 receiving touchdowns. I believe this was a top 20 all-purpose and scrimmage yard season, but I don't remember for sure. Leonardo Da Vinci for Honolulu offensive line. 135 pancakes, only 1 sack allowed. From the Otters, Zach Vega Jr., 61.5% completion rate, 354 completions, nearly 4,500 yards through the air, a 99.8 passer rating on the year, and then finally, no picks. 65% completion rate, 357 completions, nearly 4,000 yards through the air, 38 touchdowns to only 6 picks, 104.9 rating on the year. And our Offensive Player of the Year is pretty mediocre. So I believe that's a Returner of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, 2 First Team All-Pros. So, congratulations to Pretty Mediocre. All right. Defensive Player of the Year. We've got Mac Manheim, 116 tackles, 16 TFLs, 3 forced fumbles, 2 forced fumble recoveries, 18 sacks, and a safety. We've got Kim Yeon-suk, 95 tackles, 1 sack, 6 picks, 35 passes defensed, and a touchdown. Doctor Who, our defensive tackle, 57 tackles, 9 TFLs, 5 forced fumbles, 10 sacks. Rocket Ride from the Copperheads, 63 tackles, 3 fumble recoveries, 2 sacks, 4 picks, 12 passes defensed, and a touchdown. Gregor's Owiniki, 97 tackles, 17 TFLs, 4 forced fumbles, 18 sacks. And finally, Drake Wayne from the Silverbacks, 85 tackles, 5 forced fumbles, 2 picks, 32 passes defensed. And our Defensive Player of the Year is Mac Mannheim. Congratulations to Mannheim and the Silverbacks, my god. Second line. Got my S's confused. Apologies. Alright, before we move on to GM of the Year, I think one thing that I do want to bring up, because I saw a little bit of this in the Discord. All-Pro Team, awards voters, different pools of people. And I think the people who are bringing that up know that. But for the new users who are around, those are different groups of people. So if you're ever confused, hey, why is this person second team but first team here or whatever, or they're winning an award or whatever, they are different groups of people. So for all of our new users, it's a little bit of behind the scenes there. Okay, General Managers of the Year. We've got 5 nominees here. We've got the Copperheads, Rob, JG2, and Moody. The Copperheads went 10-6 this year, number 3 in the ASFC, so they made the playoffs, I think. I'm not sure. Baltimore, their GM Swanky and Swoosh, 12-4, won the NSFC. For the second line, the Hoovian and T Money, 11-5, number 2 in the ASFC. Osaka's GMs, First Ray and Triceracop, they went 4-12, number 5 in the NSFC. And finally, Yellowknife's GMs, Homocrates? I don't know. Homocrates? We'll find out. And Juniped, 9-7, number 3 in the NSFC. Alright, and our GMs of the year go to the second line, the Hoovian and T Money. Congratulations to the second line. Okay, MDM. We've got 4 very powerful users. I think we all know who's going to win this. Amid, Tuba, both head office members. Amid is also a very valuable member of my events team. I believe does dots as well. Tuba? I don't know. Tuba, what are you doing? What do you do, Tuba? I know your head office. I know you do a lot of other stuff. Same with HUDs. Honestly, I just bother these guys, but they're all really wonderful users. But I think we know who wins this. I think we know. Their thing is going into effect on Monday, which reminds me, I believe that we still have to run updates the old way this weekend before this person's thing goes into effect. It's Lemon. Congrats, Lemonoppy, on your most dedicated member. For those of you who don't know, Lemon basically put together the portal, was a very integral part of that. I know, obviously, and I'm sure Lemon will say this, had help from other people, but Lemon certainly was the driving force behind that. So congratulations to Lemmy, well deserved. Alright, no, I'm not giving you $1 billion. I worked hard for that $1 billion, damn it. Go get your billion somewhere else. Okay. Most valuable player in a cave with a box of scraps. Okay, most valuable player. We've got No Picks, Baltimore. We've got Jack Cannon from Yellowknife. I don't believe we've talked about Jack Cannon. 320 completions, 64.1 completion percentage, 3,700 pass yards, 29 touchdowns, 101 rating. We got Pretty Mediocre, who we've seen a bunch. We've got Zach Vega Jr., we've seen a bunch. William Eaton. Did we talk about William Eaton? I believe we did, right? No, we haven't talked about William Eaton. Excuse me. William Eaton from the Copperheads. 281 carries for nearly 1,400 yards, 14 rushing touchdowns, as well as 51 catches for 455 yards there. And finally, Mac Manheim. 116 tackles, 16 TFLs, 3 forced fumbles, 18 sacks, 4 passes defensed, and a safety. Okay. Our winner of MVP is, well, it can't be Purdy. It's No Picks from the Baltimore Hawks. They call him No Picks. I don't know what we call the 6 picks he had this year, but a very impressive season, a 105 rating. Well-deserving MVP there. All right, congratulations to all of our ISFL awards winners and nominees. A very large list this year. Yeah, words. I'm not showing Luna. Luna went to bed. I know I'm seeing this ping 40 minutes late. All right, we do have some more stuff to get through today. We're not done. We still got more stuff. And that's not just including the DSFL draft. DSFL draft. I believe, I don't remember if this has been announced. We're looking at changing the date because right now it's scheduled to be the same day as the NFL draft. Probably not a great idea there. So that's probably going to change, but I don't think that's been finalized yet. But we will get to that when we get to that. All right. Let's talk about the next thing that shows up on our list. Right? We're not done. We've got the Hall of Fame. Okay? Got a big Hall of Fame class this year. And we've got some things that we haven't seen in a while in our Hall of Fame class. Starting off with a User Hall of Fame induction. Whoa! Thor, as we all know and love, he's currently our banking head. He's currently our rookie mentor head. He helped develop the Combine bot and the waiver bot. He was a long-time head office member and a 2-time most dedicated member. We haven't had a User Hall of Fame induction in a while, but I believe that Thor is well deserving of this. So congratulations to Thor. Still doing great work right now. This doesn't mean you can stop, unfortunately. But congratulations, Thor. We have another interesting thing happening this year that hasn't happened in a while. And that's a GM Hall of Fame induction. We've got Negs from the Cape Town Crash, formerly Philadelphia Liberty. 13 seasons as the GM of the Liberty and Crash from S35 to S48. Over those years, a 133 and 91 career record. Ultimate champion in S41, GM of the Year in S41. I do have some really nice write-ups from Star Wars, also known as Let's Play on the Discord for Negs, and as well as all of our other GM and player inductees. This is what he had to say. Negs is one of the longest tenured GMs in league history, standing out among his peers for being able to maintain an excellent record all the while. His mark over 59% is the highest of anyone with over 200 games GM'd. While he doesn't have as many championships or GM of the Year awards as some other members of the GM Hall, his one win was one of the most pivotal in league history, simultaneously breaking the longest Ultimates drought and Ultimates win drought to date in Season 41. So, congratulations to Negs. Alright, let's take a look at our player inductees for the class of Season 53. We are going to start with the quarterback of the Arizona Outlaws, Charlemagne Cortez. Charlemagne Cortez. Alright. The epitome of a peak over longevity quarterback. Cortez only played for 6 seasons, but he made the Pro Bowl in 5 of them, was first-team All-Pro twice, and put together one of the most dominant seasons in league history in season 30. A model of efficiency that only a couple of players are in the same league of, his top 5 passer rating and record-setting yards per attempt balanced out his lower volume stats and poor playoff performances to book his entry into the Hall. Congratulations to Charlemagne Cortez. Next, we've got Frank Ducks. Duck? I'm not sure. Played for Chicago from S39 to S43 back when they were still Chicago, and then moved to New York to finish out his career there. Let's see. Let me pull up Ducks's write-up. Being top 10 in rushing touchdowns and yards is probably enough to make the Hall of Fame. Being a 4-time first-team All-Pro consecutively is probably enough to make the Hall of Fame. Neither of those are his most impressive feat, which is winning 3 Offensive Player of the Years in a span of 4 seasons. One of the most impressive resumes we've ever seen for a running back. Congratulations to Ducks. I believe, he was nominated unanimously. Up next, Fortified Fridge. Fortified Fridge, one of the members of the Great Arizona Dynasty. Fortified Fridge is a bit of a strange case. He's not as all-time great a Hall of Fame offensive lineman by resume compared to the previous 2 players, though, to be clear, still a Hall of Famer. 10th in pancakes and only 15 sacks allowed is enough to get in with his set of Pro Bowls and All-Pros. However, he's a rare player who wasn't a QB who managed to show his strength in the playoffs. Arguably the best playoff offensive lineman in league history, with a record-setting number of pancakes and only 2 sacks allowed in a large but not particularly outrageous number of games, averaging over 9 pancakes per game in the playoffs. Congratulations to Fortified Fridge. Up next, Walrus Jones. Otter for 9 seasons, Crash for 2, 5-time first-team All-Pro. Lots of accolades here as well for Walrus Jones, one of the best offensive linemen the new sim has ever seen, with only 15 sacks allowed in his illustrious career, an all-time great 139 pancake to 0 sack allowed season 42, a top 10 mark all-time, and a plethora of other awards to go along with his statistical legacy of only allowing more than 2 sacks once in his 11-year career, and finishing 3rd all-time in pancakes. Congratulations to Walrus Jones, another offensive lineman in the Hall of Fame. Oh, another offensive lineman in the Hall of Fame, Remy Musgrave Smythe. I believe this is 37th Chambers old player. Jumped around a lot. We weren't sure what team to put him under, so we put him under the league banner for now. Musgrave Smythe. Let me find. Here we are. If you have over 1,000 pancakes and 10 or less sacks allowed, such as Remy, then you're pretty much likely going to make it into the Hall. The last of our... I don't think I'm reading these in order. 4 offensive lineman Hall of Famers in this class. Remy didn't have the peak of the others, with just one of each All-Pro team, but stayed consistent, stayed compiling, and that consistency was too strong for the committee to ignore. Number 7 all-time career pancakes. First team All-Pro S48, second team All-Pro S40. 3-time champion. Congratulations to Musgrave Smythe. Here's our last of the 4. Bengal Tiger Heart. Spent almost all of their career in Baltimore, outside of 2 seasons as an Otter. Bengal Tiger Heart. Of all of the offensive linemen in league history, Tiger Heart might have the best single season ever. His S50 set the record for pancakes while also having a 0 sack allowed season. Why do I not have that on the list? Interesting. He's somewhat of a peak over longevity player as an offensive lineman, with 4 straight seasons in the top 25 for pancakes, being balanced out by some lower lows than usual for a Hall of Fame offensive lineman in the middle of their career. But even with that in mind, his 18 sacks allowed is only a little below average for a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, and he reaches 8th all-time on the career pancake list. Congratulations to Bengal Tigerheart. Oh, that's the last one. Is that the last one? We're not missing one, are we? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, we got all of them. So, that is all of our awards show for tonight. Exactly in an hour. Look at that. Great work, team. Haven't been reading the Discord chat this whole time because I was reading the Hall of Fame stuff from Discord. But a final congratulations to all of our winners, all of our Hall of Fame members, all of our nominees, all of these wonderful users and players. Keep being active, keep enjoying the league, make the league a great place. I've been Infinite MPG, and I think I'm gonna go to bed. Luna wants snuggles. I am tired. And so